President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, is involved in indirect talks between the United States and Iran regarding their nuclear program.
So, I'm not an idiot. I do know the map layout pretty well. Wait, no, actually, maybe I am an idiot. This is Oman, this is Yemen, the Arabian, I don't remember the name. And then Saudi Arabia, Israel, Palestine, I believe. No. The fuck is this again? Whatever.
Program. This just after Witkoff met with Vladimir Putin in Russia.
Oh, I was right about Oman at least.
Comes as President Trump
That's just what Twitch does to regular emotes. Oh, for real? I'm wondering what that was. What the fuck is Vladimir Putin? Who's he meeting with? Iran delegate arrives in Oman in direct talks with the U.S. over Tehran's nuclear program. This is weird. Because, like, they already, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to let it play out. Let's see.
Agree on a ceasefire
I might be
deal
misunderstanding
and eventually end the war. ABC's foreign correspondent Marcus Moore joins me live for more. And we're also learning Steve Witkoff is involved in these indirect talks over Iran's nuclear program. What more do we know about this, Marcus?
Yeah, that's right. He's had a very busy weekend, Ike, and we just got a statement from the Iranian Foreign Ministry about
I think the U.S. will invade Iran, but then again, I didn't think Russia would invade Ukraine, so what do I know? It's funny because when I saw that Russia invaded Ukraine, or that I thought they were preparing to invade Ukraine, I remember it happening, and I did not understand politics too well at the time, or at least I didn't understand the politics of Russia and the former states of the USSR. I always thought that, I didn't even remember how that all happened at the time. Now I know a lot more about it, and I know the intention behind the Ukrainian invasion, or at least I don't fully understand it, but I know what happened at least. I remember seeing it and then going to sleep. And then maybe it was probably a good bit of chunk of time, but I remember just like checking in on this shit all the time. And I was like, wait, they're at war with Ukraine? It was like, it just didn't make sense to me. And now it does, but like, I can't imagine how much crazier that must have seemed to people who lived in Europe at the time to hear that a neighboring country after, what's it been, 70 years of mostly peace is at war again. Insane. Also, this face is creepy. Jesus Christ. Bad time to pause it.
Meeting that just wrapped up a short time ago in Oman today. This meeting went on for about 2 hours, and we know that the sides have been discussing Iran's
I thought it was pronounced
program, and according to the statement,
they
also discussed sanctions that are currently in place on Iran. It comes after reports that Iran has accelerated its uranium enrichment program. Now, Iran denies that it's for military purposes. But US
that's the United Arab
they're
Emirates.
working towards further development on a potential nuclear weapon, which is something President Trump has said Iran will never be allowed to do. He has threatened military action if these current talks are unsuccessful. And the U.S., as you know, Ike, has moved military assets into the region to try to apply pressure. Now, in terms of today's meeting, in this most recent statement, it does seem that the Iranians have signaled that it was positive. The meeting was positive in the sense that after the initial discussions through a mediator.
Sometimes I like to just comment on what I'm seeing in these videos here. Is there not a a more embarrassing field to be in than some of these reporters? Like they rarely ever fully report the shit that they see, but like, is this not, like, look at where his head is at. I just have to point these things out sometimes. Is there not a more embarrassing field to go into in life than this? Like, as a grown man, I have to sit on the ground and hold my recorder up here so I can try and catch what he's saying while my face is like, nah, bro. I could not do that, but there's clearly more important things to focus on here. But I just don't understand how reporters will do that and then also not fully commit to at least releasing information that they're given, like with the Signal thing where like the dude didn't release all the information immediately, instead waited, which is like Does it make sense? I live in Europe. It was kind of wild, but it also felt like nothing really happened after all the hype. If you understand, it doesn't feel like there's a war outside of Ukraine itself. I guess maybe I'll understand that more in a little bit. There's probably going to be some war going on with the war on the cartels. Doing my quotation marks for that. The war on the cartels will probably happen very soon. Mexico and the U.S. and I'm not that far from the border, so maybe I'll understand if there's not much of a feeling of impact from that happening or not. But you don't feel the impact of it if you're outside the actual war zone. Yeah, they've been describing it as if there's been a war going on only like 500 miles to my south for a while now, and I have not seen or heard anything of it. So you're probably right about that part.
Most recent statement, it does seem that the Iranians have signaled that it was positive. The meeting was positive in the sense that after the initial discussions through a mediator, the officials did meet face-to-face briefly. And Ike, they say they have agreed to meet again next week.
Now, Marcus, what else can you tell us about this meeting and the latest on the fighting between Russia and Ukraine?
Yeah, so Envoy Witkoff has been having the meeting on the Middle East, the crisis there. But before that, yesterday, he met with Vladimir Putin for more than 4 hours in St. Petersburg, Russia, to discuss the war in Ukraine. And there was also an expectation, Ike, that he would also discuss a potential face-to-face meeting between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two have spoken over the phone, but have yet to meet in person since President Trump came back to the White House. Now, you know, President Trump has been adamant about calling for a swift end to the war in Ukraine, but Ike, so far, a deal remains elusive.
Marcus, thank you for your reporting.
I'm sorry, what? Okay, so this doesn't, the U.S. and Oman indirect doesn't even make sense for nuclear talks. There's only, I don't know. I'm very confused by this. This whole thing is confusing me. Are we doing negotiations with Iran through another country about their nuclear program? At that, a country that's, never mind. It doesn't matter. I need a more direct source. So I want to find some articles on this actually.